Good morning. Good morning. It's Saturday, and I have a good, really great guest today. If you haven't seen him, you don't recognize him, let me introduce you. This is Paul Hope. And yes, he is a true faithful. He is a faithful from a little bit further away. Paul, how are you doing this morning?
Thanks for having me on, Brian. Yep, 5,000 miles away. I'm based in the UK for some of your viewers who might not know who I am. 49er Faithful UK is our group, and it's always great to talk all things football. So thanks for having me on, buddy.
Oh man, this has been like a dream, and this has been something I've been wanting to do for a while. So I really appreciate it. So we don't have a whole bunch of people here right now, but we'll shout out the chat, and then we'll probably drop this twice. So first off, one of my good friends, I met him through YouTube. I'm sure you've met him as well. It's Mr. Bebop Jones. He is faithful. He is from Pennsylvania. He is yeah, the Niners, red and gold. It doesn't. You don't have to be from California to be a fan. We'll take anyone. We really will. Carcast is here. Carcast is another young YouTuber. He has a great 49er channel. He's everywhere. He supports everybody. He really truly does. Okay, guys, let's get into this. I made another little clip. I like making these clips. Sometimes they're fun. Sometimes some are better than others. I gotta admit. But this one got me hyped this morning. So let's go ahead and give me a minute of your time, folks. I am pumped. I'm not going to say I can run through a brick wall right now, but I am straight pumped. Paul, we got a Super Bowl coming in a couple days. This is the this is a second Super Bowl appearance in what for our team in 5 years or something. We've been in the NFC Championship game almost every year. We could say it, we could talk about the past. If we had a quarterback last year, we might have been repeating this year. But how are you feeling? I mean, like, obviously you can see my room's red and gold. I'm a little closer to the stadium and maybe a little bit, maybe a few more fans around me on a daily basis. But what is the energy on your side of the world? What are people saying about the San Francisco 49ers?
So for those people who know, I don't do English football. I don't do other sports. I do the NFL. I'm plugged in. You said at the start this had been a dream come true for you. I actually discovered you. You called in on one of Jason Aponte's shows. Jason's content creator that I follow,
Yep.
and you called in. You gave some foresight. You plugged your channel, and I thought, all right, okay, lives Stockton, California. I'll check this guy out. And then I saw you love for Batman. I love a superhero. I'm a dad myself, and I resonated with some of your stuff. And then I connected with David McNana, who you sometimes have on, Ty Alston,
Yep.
Aaron, TED Talks Ball, and I might not watch all you guys live because there is a significant time difference. So it's 5 o'clock in the evening where I am now. And sometimes I catch your shows just going live. I'll drop a comment into support because you're one of those positive people that, like me, you're always in the chat. You're always supporting people where you can. And you seem to absorb all the content like I do. I love 49ers football. A big drive of what I do on this side of the pond is to bring the UK market a taste of shows like this. We don't have a lot of this in the UK. The energy is hyped. So I'm not sure if you're aware. We have links with Nick Clark and the 49ers. So the UK are the exclusive marketing rights for the 49ers. So 2 years ago, the team reached out to us and they actually throw official watch parties for us. So the news broke yesterday that Leeds United, which is a football team in England, which the 49ers own, were
Yeah.
hosting our official Super Bowl watch party. The tickets went live yesterday, Brian. So imagine me and Lee Gowland. Our phones have been going crazy, but I'm proud to say there's going to be 500 UK 49ers at a watch party in Leeds. So we're hyped. I can't wait for that. This will be my third Super Bowl since I've been a Niners fan. Before people get cross at me, just let me explain. The Ravens loss cemented my legacy as a Niners fan because that was the year I got into the sport. I didn't really understand it, didn't really follow it to the level I follow it now. And I only had, believe it or not, one piece of Niners merchandise, and that was a baseball cap. And after we lost to the Ravens, I was walking to work the next day, 5,000 miles away in the northeast of England. It was raining, and I got heckled by some people shouting Ravens abuse at me. And I found myself arguing with strangers about our wonderful team from San Francisco. And I thought, that's my team. And then I just fully absorbed myself. So the Chiefs loss hurt me more because I was with 50 of my friends at a watch party. This was the one I wanted. I wanted the Chiefs. I want revenge for 2019, baby.
Boy. So when the championship games were happening and, excitement was happening and we were talking about, it could be a revenge Super Bowl. Who do you want? What poison do you want? Or what spice do you want to, dabble in, right? Oh, I was really, really excited about both opportunities because I like the Ravens. I like the Chiefs. I don't like the fact that they beat us in either Super Bowl. I watched the Ravens Super Bowl. I had 40 people in my garage, and it was an amazing day, amazing game. We start watching, and the first penalty, I think the first snap was a penalty. I think Joe Staley got it or something like that. An offensive lineman lined up wrong, and this ain't going right for us. Randy Moss pulled his hands down. Kaepernick threw the interception. Then later on, they start storming back. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Frank Gore's going to do it. Frank Gore's going to do it. He put the team on his back and ran him down the field. And I got hype. I hope. I'm looking around for my wife. She's not in the garage. So I decided to head into the house because, again, got 40 people, 40 mostly men, right? And we've been drinking a little bit. So we're having fun. But hey, we're about ready to score. The game's almost over. I'm looking for my wife, right? So I go inside, and that's when we start seeing the 4 attempts at the end zone to Michael Crabtree. I don't want to put players down or break them down and stuff. That's not what I like to do. But there's some things you don't continue. Like what's crazy? Continuing to do it, and then so you had 4 opportunities. Okay, why didn't you give 1 opportunity to Mr. Frank Gore? Mr. Gore, right? I mean, it's kind of the same thing that happened with like Seattle and beast mode and stuff. And I feel like that second Seattle Super Bowl, they were trying to top us. Like we're going to throw the touchdown that Kaepernick couldn't do it, right? And then I feel like that's kind of why beast mode and the Legion of Boom and everything happened in Seattle happened because they're like, we could have won a Super Bowl, but you wanted to be cute. So then the next Super Bowl, a couple of years later, and I'm very blessed. I live 4 houses from my parents. So my dad come down for the Super Bowl. I didn't want to have the same issue or the same circumstance that happened last time. So I didn't have 40 people over. We didn't have a big Super Bowl party. I didn't even have a beer for the party. Okay. My dad, my wife, we stood there. We watched the game in my house because I usually stand when the game's on. We got plenty of couches, but who can sit when you're like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you sit on the side of the couch, the edge of the seat or whatever, but that's not me. So I'm standing there, and it's about 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, and I'm thinking, we're 10 points up. We might just win this. We just might win this. My dad, my wife, were starting to talk a little bit more positive. With the whole game, we were positive, but we were starting to really start like, hey, this, because, again, we were going into halftime. Kittle had the PI or the pass interference, and it's just, I don't think that was a true fair call. I think but anyways, it is what it is. So we move on. Then the Niners celebrate in the end zone. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I get it. But you guys aren't like, you're not winning by like serious amount of numbers. I mean, 2 touchdowns is 14 points, right? Or 16 at most, right? No, you're winning by 10 points. A touchdown and a field goal. I love kickers, but they only put 3 points up, right? So it was a little sad to see the tail and it turn around and happen the way it did. But we have another opportunity now. And I look at this team and everybody's saying 2019, the Chiefs had Tyreek and they had all these weapons. And now this is our year to get them because they're depleted. They're not the same team. And Paul, my question to you is if you could have the 2019 Patrick Mahomes with all of his weapons or Patrick Mahomes at the height of his career, and this could be the height of his career, right? He's matured. He's won a couple rings. He's lost a ring. He's lost a playoff game. Who would you rather take?
Yeah, that is a great question. I said at the start of this playoff run when we were doing our preview shows on our channel, I said Mahomes is the one that scares me. He's got that playoff pedigree. The Chiefs have managed to find a way to win football games. It's what great teams do. They don't play well, they pass the eye test, and they win. The knock on Patrick Mahomes was, he's been in 6 AFC Championship games. They've all been at home. Can he do it on the road? So he went into Buffalo, knocked off Buffalo. Went into Baltimore, knocked off Baltimore. I'm a little bit irritated for all the talk on Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson. Come on, the Ravens defense helped you out. Patrick Mahomes and this Travis Kelce connection didn't put any points in the second half. Nobody's talking about that. I was sat at home watching the game like you. I have no ill feelings towards both. I was enjoying the game, Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes. Deep down, I wanted the Chiefs to win because last year I wanted the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl because I don't like the Eagles.
No.
This year, I want the Chiefs a rematch. Similar to your story, we always book our Super Bowl meet up at the start of the year because in the UK, the Super Bowl's on at 11:30 p.m. and it doesn't finish till 5 a.m. in the morning. So most UK fans go to a watch party. They go to either a bar or they go to a casino. But with the tie-in with Nick Clark, he had told us that when the Niners get the Super Bowl, there'll be an official watch party. So just hold your horses. So we didn't book anything this year. But back in 2019, we had our do booked at the start of the year. And everyone thought we were geniuses, Brian. They were like, oh, you guys must be super positive. You had a party booked at the start of the year. And like you said, everybody, we were celebrating. We thought we're getting number 6. And when those lights came on at 5 in the morning, I think the only thing that got me through it was I was with family, I was with friends, I was with fellow faithful. And I think I'm looking forward to putting those demons to bed. You'll have seen last week there was a watch party over here for the championship game. I couldn't go. The way it was going that first half, God, there was people leaving at half time. Again, that was an 11:30 p.m. kickoff here in the UK. I didn't get any sleep after that game. I was hyped. So you asked me at the start of this show, I was hyped. I've been hyped since Monday morning. I would rather go against this Chiefs and this Patrick Mahomes because as much as he's good, the Patrick Mahomes from a couple of years ago had that explosive side to him. He had that kind of youthful exuberance where he didn't care. He could run around. He could make something happen. Now, I'm not saying he's lost that, Brian. You could argue some of the stuff that he's lost, he's gained in experience. If we try to stop the run and put 8 in the box, he's going to stand there and pick us apart all day long. Go back and watch the game last year at Levi Stadium. Patrick Mahomes came in and he was surgical. He didn't throw a lot that day, but when he did, he picked us apart. I think we'll be ready for him, if that makes sense. Charvarius Ward said yesterday in the press conference, the Niners are looking at the Chiefs as the best in the world because they're the defending champions. To be the best, you've got to beat the best. So they're not taking this team lightly. I like that. I am slightly concerned at Steve Wilkes' game plan, which I'm sure we'll get onto, but he doesn't have Tyreek Hill. A lot of what used to get Patrick Mahomes out of trouble was similar to what people say with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's only good, Bryant, because he's got CMC. They weren't saying that when Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, and if you needed to chuck one deep, not bad to have the fastest kid in the world catching it on the other end, is it? So, what about you? Would you rather have faced the old Patrick or the new Patrick?
I think he kind of cleared it really well and stated it very well. I think the difference is Tyreek. I think that's the biggest thing that makes people worried. But I think the 2023, the new Patrick Mahomes, the one of today, I think he's more dangerous than the 2019. And the reason I'm going to say that is because you look at some of those calls that we had in 2019. We should have got that sack. Bosa should have got that sack. That pass that he threw to Tyreek was underthrown. Tyreek did have to go back for it, but maybe that's the way they play ball. Maybe they knew that's like, hey, you know how far I'm, and you know you're going to have to come and okay, so maybe they know each other. Obviously they do, right? But I think Patrick Mahomes got lucky right there. I think he got really lucky. But the difference between luck and him today is now he knows what to expect. Now he knows, you see him getting up off the ground after he's been hit. He's looking around for the flags. He's looking around for the refs. He's trying to see hey, they hit me a little. He's getting these calls. He's getting the favoritism, right? So I'm a little bit more, I don't know, nervous to play the man now than I was then, because before he wasn't a made man, right? Now he's got hardware. He's got rings, right? So I think we can go in there. I think we got a good chance. I think the Niners are very hungry. I think that's the one thing that this team has maybe over the Chiefs is they haven't won it yet. So they have to win it. Like that's what their mindset is. The Chiefs are like, we've been there last year. We're going to win it. We're going to go next year. We'll probably go the year next year. So I don't want the Niners to go in and be complacent. I want the Chiefs to go in there and be complacent. I want them to go in there and take it a little bit like, hey, we're in Vegas. Let's party it up a little bit. I don't want the Niners to go in and be stiff. I don't want them to be, too serious. Kind of like what Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice was going on in the 94 Super Bowl. I don't know if you heard a little bit about that, but Deion showed up in like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. It was a really super fancy sports car. And then Jerry Rice, he's upset, said something to him. And he's like, look, dude, this is Super Bowl. I'm going to live my life. And I'm going to live the moment. And later on, Jerry Rice has come out and said he was too, uptight at the moment. He was too, into being the best. And he didn't have the moments to maybe enjoy and take the time to enjoy. So, again, I just want the Niners to win. I really do. It's neat that you brought up the fact that you were walking during the 2019 season to work. I live very close to work too. So a couple months ago when we were doing, because I do shows on the weekends, like to just get in and have a little bit of coffee and talk 49ers with everybody. So I had thrown out like over there in UK, do you guys have what's called the Klondike bar? It's an ice cream sandwich.
I've heard of it. We don't have shops that sell it, but yeah.
Okay,
like
so it's just like a little square. It's in an aluminum foil wrapper. It's got like a polar bear on it. And what would you do for a Klondike bar? So like my whole gimmick, my whole jingle is, what would you do for a Super Bowl? Right. So I'm going to do it. I really want I want to be healthier in mind, body, soul. Right. So if the Niners win the Super Bowl, I'm walking to work for a year. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. If they don't win a Super Bowl, I might still walk to work for a year. I live too close to not do this, and I've really been pumping myself up, and I got to try to do it. Let's shout out the chat real quick again, Paul. We got Steve-O here. Johnny Cesari. If you don't know about Johnny, Johnny's a great guy. He is very passionate. I believe he lives in Nevada. He calls into the Ryan Hensley show a lot. And very, very knowledgeable. And if you haven't found him on Twitter, oh man, hook up with Johnny. Johnny's always dropping like facts and little statistics and stuff. Different, Johnny's just very, very intelligent when it comes to the Niners. Had him on a couple of great times. All right, and Bebop's like, let's stop these third and longs. Yeah, I agree. That's the one thing that's kind of really hurt us this year is, well, at least in the playoffs, is Green Bay ran right through us. Every time they needed a third down, they ran right through us. And the same thing was happening in Detroit until they made a couple of adjustments. I don't want to see the adjustments come after halftime. I'd like to see them come a little sooner. Joe Stevens is here. And Paul, what do you think? Taylor Swift is supposed to be, I want to say, in Japan.
Yeah,
Tokyo. So there's enough time after her concert. I think it ends at 11. If she jumps on the plane at 12, she can literally be at the Super Bowl within time. Do you see her being at the Super Bowl in the press box? I'm going to throw out a hot take. I think she bombs or crashes the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah. So I'm a dad of girls. So my stepdaughters, Jasmine's 13, Kaylee's 16. They're banned from listening to Taylor Swift for these next 8 days. And girls, when I show you this clip back, I warned you I
That's
would
right.
name drop you. No Taylor Swift. But all jokes aside, I did say that to them this morning. I said, I think Taylor Swift crashes the Super Bowl. It get the viewing figures up, won't it? Some people might not like it. What surprises me, are you aware of David Beckham? Do you know who Mr.
Yes.
Beckham is?
Yep.
So when
Bend it like
David Beckham was at the height of his powers, he was dating Posh Spice. So that was the equivalent of Travis and Taylor. I'm sure my age because I'm in my 40s. So I'm not surprised at the coverage that Taylor Swift's getting, but it's just surprising that he's not the first NFL player to go out with a celebrity. It doesn't really bother me that the show are on the screen. I do think your hot take is right. I think she comes on the halftime show. She wows the world. But yeah, she's in Tokyo the day before. I know that because my two were obsessed with Taylor Swift.
Well, it's really funny. Taylor Swift is she's just somebody fun to listen to, positive, and maybe the reason I'll be honest, when I started dating my wife Tony, I was listening to Taylor Swift. It's fun dating songs, right? And then closer and closer, we were getting together, and then we got married. We were still listening to Taylor Swift. She has a couple songs. There was an album. One of her songs was called Our Song. We kind of took it for us, it's like, hey, she wrote, it's meant for us. And it's just fun. Then she kind of changed her music a little bit, went into pop, and she's gotten a little bit, maybe a little bit more controversial. She's said some political things. I don't care about her political stance. I like some of her music, but then to a certain point, you got to sit back and say, no, this is written for little girls, and not in a bad way or anything like that. But like, it's not necessarily your everyday, jam, right? And maybe it is. Hey, shake it off, however you want to put it. But I don't mind her. My daughter, she likes her. My wife likes her. We don't blast her every day or even every month. But if the song comes on, we might listen to the entirety of it. I might mumble the words. I'm gonna be honest. Let me let me bring on David. We got David McNiner coming in.
I
Hey,
did not
David.
know you were a Swiftie there, Bryant.
I did not say Swifty, but I don't know the songs. So, Paul, David, Paul, I think you guys know each other.
How's it going?
We're having a great time. So,
Before you go any further, I do have to say to both of you, Lee Gowland, who's the president of the 49 Faithful UK, is very impressed that you two wear suits when you do one of your shows. And he was like, I don't know why they're wearing a suit. And I said, when I go on with them, I will tell them that he was very impressed that you two look very smart and you put us Brits to shame with our caps and our Niners gears on.
well, so everybody wears the jerseys and everybody wears the gear, and you got to have those fun shows where you can just like cut out and let loose. So there was a time last year when we were doing like the mock drafts, and I think we did a whole draft stream. David was a part of streams, and I was a part with a couple guys, and I did my best Mel Kiper impersonation when Jake Moody was drafted. I kind of said Jake Moody, right? And then they said Jake Moody, and everybody's like, what? And started freaking out. So I took my tie off and started shaking it like a madman and stuff. And after that, started doing a little bit more fun stuff. Like we do some Friday night shows too, where we just try to have fun. We got a show over here in America called Saturday Night Live, or there used to be a show, Mad TV, used to be on in the 90s, and they do like parodies and fun comedy, little skits and stuff. And so I was trying to do something funny like the Weatherman or the Weekly Update, BC O'Brien. Right? So I'd come on with my suit for a couple of shows, and then I wanted to just bring it out to a little bit more. So I asked David, I said, David, would you wear a suit like on Sundays, and we could do our game day analyst and stuff. So David doesn't have sleeves. So David made sure his suit didn't have sleeves, and I think it just looks it fits us. So
that was what I was going to get onto next, because again, we're like you guys, we do our show on a Wednesday. We try to bring a touch of Good Morning Football vibes on a Wednesday. We go live with no script and we just feed off the comments. And I meant it as a compliment. Lee has started to follow in my footsteps and watch you guys, watch all the content creators that I name drop. And he just said he put you on Sunday, and he was like, first they're wearing suits, and then he was like, I'm pretty sure David doesn't have sleeves on his. So it was just to show you guys that it has been noticed and it's been mentioned across the pond. But before you move on with the Taylor Swift, so obviously my girls know the Niners, and my 16-year-old Kaylee, my stepdaughter, she had a passionate argument about 6 months ago with a college teacher who was getting facts wrong about the 49ers. And he was like, how on earth do you know all this stuff? She's like, my stepdad does podcasts. My stepdad loves the Niners. She proudly wears her Niners gear at college. There's a lot of Kansas City stuff hit the fashion wear of teenage girls over here because of Taylor Swift. But I'm proud to say they might listen to her music, but they always rock red and gold. They're not allowed to wear anything else.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. If you didn't notice, I got the Colt jersey hanging up in the back. All of us here, my whole family is Niner fans. At least my family, my immediate family, right? My brothers, they're all Raider fans. My dad's a Raider fan. All my uncles are Packer fans. So it's just really, it's great. But my girls, if they want to wear red and gold, they know they can. If they want to root for a different team, I'm not going to tell them no, but they got to really give me a reason why, except, not to just, mess with me. Right. Because if you're just poking at me, then it's a fun joke. But if you're serious, you're serious. So a joke's a joke, but no, everybody here, we like the Niners. My daughter, she's a big Kaepernick fan when he was running around. She has her own Kaepernick jersey. Then she became a Jimmy G fan. I ended up buying 3 Jimmy G jerseys. Probably the worst mistake I made in my life. It's just, I don't have a bad thing to say really about Jimmy G. I wish he didn't get hurt against the Chiefs. I think that really, derailed us the 2018 season when he tore his knee open and everything. I thought we had a really good team, really good shot. So, after that, he comes back and takes us to the Super Bowl. But then people were like, it wasn't him. It's not anyone, right? There's 53 guys on the team, right? Then you got a couple coaches, you have an owner. So, I mean, it's like, it takes a whole village, right? It takes a whole team, everybody. So I don't know, but yeah, wearing the suits is fun. We got to meet Lee. Lee's a really nice guy.
Yes.
And we got to meet him at the gold mine section. Shout out to Jess, East Coast Red and Gold. She was able to hook us up with some tickets, and we met Lee. I don't know who the other fellow he brought with him from.
Lee was his 50th birthday. So you met Lee on his very special day. It was actually his birthday on that game, and it was David Betteridge. So when you met Lee, I wasn't due to fly out to San Francisco this year. So Lee had that one planned with you guys. Then we had the trip for the Buccaneers game. And we'll get into that in a moment. But I do remember kind of having a bit of a moment when Lee texted me, because I run the social media, David, for the 49er Faithful UK. Lee handed the Twitter account over at me about 3 years ago, and we've just exploded purely because I just had the connections on there. And he sent me pictures. So my favourite one was him and Jed York from last year. My second favourite one is the one he sent of you guys. So he sent me a message and he was like, look who I'm stood with. And I was like, oh my God, that's Brian, that's David. And then we shared the picture out, and Lee said it was amazing. You made him feel welcome. He loves going across. He's fortunate than me. He can go multiple times a year. I am gutted that when I was there, I didn't get to meet everybody that I wanted to meet. But the gold mine is a blast, isn't it? If you've never been, you've got to explain to people what it is.
Oh my gosh. So I didn't know really anything about it until this year. And maybe somebody heard me crying a little bit. I don't know. I don't mean this in any slight or any derogatory way, but I'm not necessarily the richest person in the world. Okay. I'm a paycheck to paycheck guy. I live very close to my job. I don't get paid a lot, but I'm very happy, right? I just want to pay my bills. I don't have to be a billionaire. It'd be nice to have a couple extra dollars, but then, they said it. I think Biggie said it, more money, more problems, right? So I don't want to be that guy, right? I'm very happy. I got 3 little ones. I'm very blessed. I have a Volkswagen bus in the driveway. I got, a decent car to ride. Like the grass in my yard is green. It might not be the greenest on the block, but it's green enough, right? So that's where I'm at. But I got to go to a couple games in my life, right? I got to go to the Niners Battle of the Bay in, I want to say 99. It was a preseason game. My dad took the whole family. And again, my family is not the richest family. We're not broke, but like, we're just, there's other things. Like when you live 60 miles to the stadium and the stadium decides to have a blackout. And what that is if you don't sell enough tickets on Friday and the game's on Sunday, if you don't sell the stadium out, they won't televise the TV. they won't televise the game. So for my dad and my family, like again, I'm a Niner fan, but dad and my brothers are Raider fans. They always felt like jaded a little bit because half of the games usually weren't on television. And it was really upsetting because Friday they didn't sell out, but then Sunday when you got to listen to it on the radio because they tell they broadcast it on the radio, they would say Oakland Coliseum in a sellout crowd, and you'd be like, a sellout crowd? Why is it on television? Because they didn't sell it didn't get sold out on Friday. So one day we went to the first Battle of the Bay since the Niners and the Raiders. The Raiders had moved to LA and moved back. I want to say they moved back in 95 or 96 season, somewhere around there. They hadn't played yet. So when they played, we went, had a blast. The Niners won. I seen Jeff Garcia throw the winning touchdown, I think, at the end of the game. It was a blast. Now, some of the Raider fans, they weren't too happy, but I was there with my dad and my family. I was all in black. I didn't have any red on outside or anything like that. I didn't want to have any problems. I'm a short guy, trying to be humble, right? As we're walking to the stadium, I'm very glad that this is the approach I had because I'm seeing people as we're going into the stadium, just the banter going back and forth and stuff. And again, I'm a kid, so I'm like, I'm not talking. I don't want to get hit, or I don't know if anybody. So when we're in the stadium, and this is why I didn't want to say anything. Somebody actually touched me when I was sitting in the stands. I stood up when Jeff scored, and I was like, yeah, right. And I sat down, and my dad and my brothers were all right there. My mom and the guy behind me puts his hand on my shoulder and is like. It was a couple minutes after, like somebody threw an interception or something, and he's like, "How do you like that?" Right? And my dad turned around. He's like, "Don't touch my kid. He's a kid, and it's just a game." That was probably one of the most intense moments I seen my dad. Right? Because the guy, like, there was no reason for him to, and he said some derogatory word when he had touched me as well. He called me like an effing punk or something like that. So again. When you go to games, you want to be in good spirits. You want to be around people. And sometimes alcohol, inebriates people or whatnot. And again, you can still be around people and have a good time, right? But for me, my family, the safest place for us to watch the game is at home. I can go to the fridge. I can go to the bathroom, the commercials, whatever, right? But when we do get to go to a game, I mean, like, it's a real privilege, right? So one of the first games I got to go to, I've never been to Candlestick. Really sad. My dad, who's not a Niner fan, been to Candlestick multiple times. My wife, who's a Niner fan, she's been to Candlestick. So I'm like, okay, well, I missed that one, but I was lucky enough to see a lot of preseason camp and training camp here in Stockton. So I mean, I've been close to players. I've seen probably a lot of stuff that maybe other people haven't. So I'm like, okay, it works out. I've maybe only missed like 4 or 5 games in my life. As a Niner fan, if I wasn't able to watch it on television or hear it on the radio. So long story short, I'm talking, and we were going over it, and I told everybody about my experience seeing Blaine Gabbert play the Cincinnati Bengals and the 49ers. It was a December game. I want to say December 14th. It was 2014. I want to say me and my wife get over there in Santa Clara. We park, and I noticed my car smoking. I open up the hood of my BMW, and I just did the radiator the other day, and I didn't have the coolant line back far enough, so the clutch fan hit the hose and caused a little hole, right? So it's squirted, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to get this fixed. And I'm asking my wife, I said, do you want to stay here, or how do you want to? So we both walked about 10 miles in the city of Santa Clara to a parts store to get a hose, right? Well, we get back to the car, and it's the wrong size hose. So then I'm not walking 10 more miles. So we called a taxi. And because I'm not in 2014, I don't know a whole lot about Uber or anything like that, like I don't. So we call, we get a taxi ride. I needed another trip, 3 trips to the parts store. We got it fixed. It's about third quarter, almost fourth quarter. I look at my wife. I'm like, hey, we can go home now if you want. She's like, we're here. Let's go. And at that moment, I fell in love with my wife again. Like, I don't know how many times you can re-fall in love with somebody, but I love you, right? So, and I do. I love you, Tony. So we walk to the stadium. We're going up. People are walking out. We're both in our gold jackets. People are screaming at us, telling us, what are you doing? You're late. You're late. What are you doing? They're losing. We're like, I don't care. I don't care. We're both like, hey, you want a beer? I want a beer. She's like, I want a beer too. So we're walking up to the stadium. We get up to the corner. We go up there. We get right up to the beer concession stand, and they say, we just closed. I don't know. I mean, I haven't ever gotten kicked so hard. I felt like that really hurt there. But we went and we stood underneath the end. We didn't even go all the way to our seats. We finished watching the fourth quarter. We seen Blaine Gabbert out there. We screamed to put Colin Kaepernick in. We knew they weren't going to do that, but it was still fun. It was a good experience. The second time I got to go, it was to a Bronco preseason game, East Coast Red and Gold. I won tickets off their show. You guys check them out, subscribe. They do a lot of fun stuff, but don't subscribe for the giveaway. Subscribe because they got a good channel, a very good channel. It's mature
channel,
and it's good panel. And then they had done another giveaway. Well, not a giveaway, but Jess calls me or texts me, and she's like, "Hey, you want to go to the game?" I'm like, "I haven't even been to the Bronco game yet. What are you talking about?" You know, she's like, "Do you want to go to the game, the opener?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Right? I'm getting confused. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So through conversation, she told me she had some tickets, and I'm like, "Well, heck yeah!" And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, "Well, how many tickets you got? Can I have another ticket?" So I asked her, how old people can be to get in, and she said kids aren't allowed. Under 14 can't come.
Children not allowed in.
So my daughter Lily couldn't go, and I said, "Hey, can you still have another ticket?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Can we ask David?" So she said, "Yeah." So David come out. He spent about a week with me and my family. We went to the game, met Lee, met a bunch of people over there, met Ty, met Jess, Bex. Oh man, it was great. We didn't meet Maddie B, but we met everybody else. Really did. Met Travis King, met Bashar, met the great Laura Cat. It was great. The next day, about 2 days later, me and David, we hooked up with Beto because Beto lives really close to me, Niner Sickness Podcast. And we went to San Francisco. We went over there. We met not David, we met John Jay, and we met Corey Davis. At Berkeley, we had lunch or breakfast, if you want, brunch, I guess. And then we went around the Bay Area a little bit. After that, went down Lombard Street because I know you went when you were there. You guys went around the city a little bit. We went across the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was just a lot of fun.
I did all the tourist stuff. I think what you're trying to say, and when you started, Brian, if my good lady was here, she said the same to me. So the Gold Mine, for those people at home watching, it's a fan chapter invite section only. There's 40 seats, so any fan chapter can apply. So what will have happened for Jess? She'll have applied. She'll have been given the go-ahead by Nick Clark, but she has to fill that with 40 people.
Yeah.
If you don't have your 40 people, so I'll get onto that with the UK. So when I told Tracy that we were going, she said to me, "How do the locals feel about that? Because you guys are flying 5,000 miles." But she said there'll be people, because I'm not you, Brian. I'm not a rich man. It is what it is. So when I went to San Francisco, it was a true once in a lifetime opportunity, and I did everything I could in those 4 days. And if you followed me on social media, you would have seen. And I was, like you said, I was grateful. I didn't have to pay for a ticket into the stadium. I got to meet a load of fantastic people. But it's fair to say when you get entry to the Gold Mine, they make you work for it. But how do you feel about people getting essentially a free ticket into the game?
I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's a wonderful and beautiful idea that the 49ers have an opportunity, a section dedicated. I don't know how many other fans or stadiums have this for their fans. Hey, they want to make me a team leader, a team cheerleader. That's fine with me. If they want to offer the same thing they offered to me to anybody else, the only thing I ask is whoever accepts that goes in there. And for that moment, be a 49er fan. If you're not a 49er fan and you get those tickets, my gosh, don't abuse your rights or your gift, because it's truly for 49er fans. So if you're in Australia, you're in Belize, you're in Mexico, you're in UK, whoever's a 49er fan, I believe should have an opportunity to get to go or be awarded that. So for me, like if I ever get a chance to go again, I'm not going to blink an eye. I'm going to take an opportunity. But for anybody else who does get to go, take it, and enjoy it. And I don't have any hate. I think that's awesome. I've seen some of the clips with you guys. You guys have gotten to talk to the owner, and you guys have gotten really close. He's shouted you guys out. They know about you guys. So to me, it just makes it more of a community, a family, a friendship. We're the faithful. And why? Because we don't give up. We stick together. We believe in this team. So when the team gives back, Hey, I'm for that. How do you feel, David?
The experience was great. It was my first 49er game.
Mine too.
And the second Bryant said, "Hey, can you make it out to the Giants game?" I'm sitting there going, yeah. Like, that there's no way. I don't, I'm not rich. I do very well for the area I live, though. I'm not gonna lie. I have a very complicated job. There's not many technicians like me out there. But
David's a
he told me about it. I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna make that work. I'm coming out." It's time to go to a 49ers game. I've never been. So I went on out there. I met Bryant and his great family. It was fun staying with them, folks. It was. When we went to the game, I'm looking around the stadium like, dang, looking at the parking lot, seeing the cars just backed up blocks on the street, trying to get in. It's like, wow, they let us in first, which was great because you didn't have to fight the crowd, right?
Oh yeah.
And then Bryant and I were in the right spot at the right time. We were both grabbing a bite to eat, standing there by the concession stand, looking at the gates when they opened them. And it was a flood of 49ers fans the second they did that.
It was so cool seeing everybody run in the stadium.
Mm-hmm. It really was. It really was. They weren't just walking. They were all they wanted to get where they wanted to go. It was great. And while we're eating, here comes a small family with Sam Darnold jerseys on.
Brand new Sam Darnold jerseys, red and gold.
The only people in the stadium with Sam Darnold jerseys on. So I'm sitting there going, hey, I'm like going, Bryant, I think that's Sam Darnold's family. He goes, Sam area. They're all like cheering for us, and we would let them walk on. We're not going to harass people. It's just not who we are. But it was great, and the location of where you're at, you're right by a concession stand. You're right by the tequila bar. And, you got your guy. He taught me the cheers. I've never been, so I didn't know, what you're supposed to do at the 49er stadium, of course. But now I do know. And I think I'm going to have to go to a game every year now. I'm just going to have to make that happen.
So the fans,
but it was great.
The gold mine started, Bryant, because Levi's held, I want to say, college football playoff. And I might have the names wrong because I don't do college football, David, but one of their teams, I want to say Clemson, I might be wrong, they brought where we sit, they converted that into that. Basically, the origins of the gold mine started with them. They had a fan cheer section there. And apparently the owners were like, that is a really good idea because it is temporary seating. The view is unbelievable. Like you said, David, the Gold Bar whiskey stand, the view. I'd never thought it was going to happen. So when Lee applied at the start of last season for the gold mine, he obviously put it in the group. And I thought the same as you two. I kind of thought to fly out to San Francisco. It's a bit selfish. But we came the week before Thanksgiving. So the flights were a lot cheaper. Then people in our community started saying, well, hang on a minute. Why don't we share a hotel room? And then things just started building and building. And then once I said I was going, loads of people in the community were like, if Paul's going for his first game, he's going to be like a kid in a sweet shop at Christmas. And my memory is meeting Nick Clark outside. We got a photo with our flags, which you've seen. I'm known for being Captain Positivity, but I'm not very British. Like, I was chanting, I was shouting, the Americans were loving it. But when you go through the Intel gate and you go up the escalator, Nick Clark had a little surprise. I'd said to Nick on our Zoom call that I'm going to have my phone. And when we go up the escalator, when we come to the top of that stairs, but he'd arranged for someone to video my reaction. So one of my favourite moments is that video coming up. Now, I underestimated seeing that and then walking around the side and then taking it all in. Ty Alston was there, capturing everything on video. I was cheering, I was shouting, and then I got round to the gold mine. And like you, Brian, I'm a bit of a people person. I'm a bit cheeky sometimes. I'd already reached out to Maria in the museum. And even though it was the salute to service game, which meant we didn't get free tickets in there, because she's part of our group and because she loves me, she let me in the museum. That was awesome. So I missed out on some of the moments that you had with Sam Darnold's family. But at halftime, David, I went to go to the bathroom and David Lombardi walked past me, and I'm like, subscribe to The Athletic, plugged in on social media, and I was like, oh my God, that's David Lombardi. And like what you said, I just was like, hi, David. I didn't want to interrupt him because he's clearly got to get something to eat. But John Chapman's been fantastic with our community. So is Breezy, so is yourself, Ty Alston. And it's just crazy to think that you guys know who we are on this side of the pond. But the gold mine, you don't have a voice left at the end. You do have to cheer all the way through. So,
we were there. They let us go on the field at the end of the night. That was like a super surreal moment. I still haven't washed this hand, folks. I'm telling you, no, I'm just playing. Steve Young, I got to shake his hand, David. So we got to meet Steve Young. I got a handshake with him, and that's my joke. I didn't wash the hand. No, Steve Young was there. It was really cool. A lot of the guys got to meet him. It was wow, really, really wild. The feel of the turf, the feel of the stadium, to be able to look up, like see what the players get to see is just super, super surreal. So yes, if anybody's interested, go to the 49ers website, and at the bottom of the page, there is a section where you can enter for the gold mine section. You have to search around a little bit. I did. I found it, and I wrote a little letter. So fingers crossed, if I get 40 tickets, folks, I'll be calling. I'll need some people to help get me, help fill out that the gold mine section. It's a really, really wonderful thing. Levi's isn't maybe the stadium that a lot of fans want, because they're kind of sour about leaving Candlestick, but it's grown on a lot of people. I would tell you it's grown on me. I've been there maybe 4 or 5 times, and every time I've gone there, I'm excited. I have a lot of fun. I don't think there's been one time I haven't had fun. The traffic isn't so bad getting in and out of the stadium. At first, I didn't know how to do it, but since then I've been in and out pretty relatively easy. And because I live in Stockton, I work in Stockton now, but before I was working in the Bay Area, I got to drive by the stadium a lot. So it was always cool driving by the stadium, looking over on the freeway, and you see it standing right there. But it's really neat. So now we get an opportunity, guys, to go just a little bit away from California, not too far. It's our neighborhood state, and it's actually our rival, I guess, if you want to call it. And people have their definitions on rivalry, but for me, the Battle of the Bay will always exist. It existed even when they were in LA. Now they're in Nevada, and there's just too many Raider fans that aren't going to go away, and you got to love them too, right? They like their team. And their team, you can call them the nomads of the NFL or whatever you want to call them, but they've moved to a different state, they've moved to a different city, and their fans still support them. So we have an opportunity to go to their stadium and win a Super Bowl in their stadium before they do, and beat a team that they play twice a year, who also has an opportunity to win that Super Bowl. So I think it's pretty safe to say whoever wins this Super Bowl, this game, can ideally say they own the Raider Stadium.
Raiders fans can't be happy about this.
Oh, they are just they can't. I mean, how could you, right? I mean, who are you going to root for? Are you going to root for, like your hated enemy, like the 49ers, the team that you almost had? See, this is what's ugly about the Niners and Raiders relationship. They had an opportunity to stay in California. They had an opportunity to build a stadium in California and stay with the 49ers for a couple of seasons. They opted out and said, well, if Oakland isn't going to, buy us a stadium and build it now, then we're leaving. I don't think that was the right or best decision, but hey, you know what? Also, when you have an owner and he takes his finger and runs down the newspaper and looks to see who has the fastest 40 time, and that's who you're drafting, I guess that it is what it is, right? But the Raiders did. They had an opportunity to stay with the Niners for a few seasons, kind of like what the Jets and the Giants do. I don't think a lot of 49er fans would have liked that. But again, I don't think it's economically the best thing for California to have another sports team leave. There was a lot of jobs. That was just a lot of things. So, it takes money out of your backyard, I guess, if you think about it. And, sure, Nevada's not that far away, but I don't know. I don't like it when teams move. So I'm going to just leave it there.
So the the Vegas connection. So Lee Gowland has just had to leave. He's just texted me. He's put in the chat. So unfortunately, his son's car's broken down. He's been in the comments. So it's great to see Lee in the house. But Lee was there, guys, in Vegas when we drafted Brock Purdy. So you mentioned positivity, Brian. I ruptured my Achilles tendon, the NFC Championship game against the Rams. So I spent a day in accident and emergency. Then that night, I was heavily dosed on painkillers, and Lee Gowland and a few others didn't go and watch the game. They stayed and video chatted me. Now, the pain of losing to the Rams was still worse than my Achilles tendon. But the reason I'm bringing that up is Nick Clark invited 2 of us to the draft in Vegas that year, and I couldn't fly because obviously the injury. So Lee went with Najee Karar. Now, you know me from social media. Even though I couldn't go, Lee was there. Similar when he was with you guys at the Giants game, I was tweeting it out. I was so proud that I had the 49er Faithful UK trending over the NFL draft, because I was just going mental on social media. But Lee got to announce the Sammy Womack pick. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that. So Sammy Womack is a bit of a cult hero over here. But that was in Vegas. And Lee says he remembered Brock Purdy being drafted, and he feels that it's kind of come full circle, that Brock's going back to Vegas. He left Vegas as a Niner, as Mr. Irrelevant. And now, as you said, he's going back into Vegas as Mr. Relevant. And as Raiders fans, like you said, pick your poison. Which team do you want to see celebrating at the end? It's going to be amazing to see.
So, how are you feeling about the Super Bowl? Are you choosing to have a party? Are you going somewhere to watch it? What's on your menu? What's on your calendar?
David or me?
You. Me and David, David and me, we'll probably be texting back and forth. David will probably be at your house, watch the game, probably texting back and forth with me or Damian Lee. But you, Mr. Paul, what's your plans for the Super Bowl?
So thankfully, the 49ers are hosting an official UK watch party at Leeds United. It's the football team that they own in England. So there'll be 500 UK faithful in attendance. The tickets went on sale yesterday, so mine and Lee's phone blew up. So me and Lee, David, we run the fan group. It's just something we do as a hobby. We work full time. We've got families. Our little community has exploded. But the Niners put on these official watch parties for us, and they're amazing. But we do all the groundwork. We do the promotion. We get the fans to come. So we will be heading to Leeds, which is a city in England, in the north of England, mid-afternoon. We'll be taking over that city. We'll be finding a couple of sports bars, and we will be partying. Well, I say partying. I don't know if you two know. I don't drink alcohol. Doesn't affect my fandom. Doesn't affect me watching the game. It means I can enjoy watching. But there will be people who will probably be drinking a lot of alcohol. But the fun, it's always great meeting up with other Niners. In the UK, the NFL fan, it's a lonely existence. So when I was out in San Francisco, it was strange seeing the games at the times that are on for you. So for us, on a Sunday, NFL starts at 6 p.m. That's the early slate of games. 9 p.m. and then 1 in the morning. Being a West Coast team, the Niners tend to be on 1 a.m. more than anything else. So last season, we had 3 6 o'clock games. 6 o'clock games to us are amazing because it means you can go to a sports bar and you can watch the game 6 till 9. The later games, you have to stay at home. You have to try and be quiet. Not easy to do when Dre Greenlaw picks off the quarterback with 30 seconds left to go on the clock and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and the family's asleep and you're running around the front room like a lunatic shouting, but they know my love of the Niners. So for the Super Bowl, Brian, it's going to be amazing. I'll share the footage when we get together. It's going to be fantastic. We're just praying for a win this time because I don't think any of us can cope with another loss.
No.
Going 5-0 and then going 0-3 would not be fun. Right now, we've been to the Super Bowl. This will be our 8th appearance. I don't want to start feeling like the Cowboys. That's Cowboys been to the Super Bowl a bunch of times. But they've lost it a lot too. So I don't want to do that. I think it's neat that we've been to the championship more than anybody else, but we haven't won. We it's not just about getting the championship; it's about winning the Super Bowl. And at one point, that's all we did. It was Super Bowl or bust. Now we're just like we're begging to get to the Super Bowl, and now we don't want to get blown out. And guys, last year we played the Chiefs. It was like 40. They put like 40 points up on us. This year we got to slow it down. We got to stop the run. I think there's going to be a lot of screen passes in this game from both sides of both offenses. And I don't know how we're going to slow down Pacheco. Pacheco's he's one of those slash players. He can just he's bigger than CMC, and I think he's just as elusive. So I think he's a good version of maybe a good blend of Mitchell and of CMC. If that's a good comparison. I also think that we got to keep an eye on number 87. And there has been a couple of people that's pointed out in other chats that he said the best way to cover him is to watch him. Don't take your eyes off of him. Don't watch it. Don't watch his hands. Watch his eyes, because he catches with his hands late, if that makes sense. He's looking with his eyes, and his eyes kind of light up a little bit when the ball comes close, and that's when he reaches out and snatches. Sometimes people can just like let something be there and just reach out and grab it real quick. So hand-eye coordination, that's some people got it, some people don't. But Kelsey, if I'm being honest, he's been getting away with a little bit of is it safe to say bush ball, maybe a little bit? I don't know. Like the guy seems to be getting away with a little bit of dirty plays. And if I don't know, I don't think that's going to be what they want to see on the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to be wanting to film him like pushing players and then smiling because they got a penalty. What he pulled in the AFC Championship game, strategically, they got in those guys' heads. I think the Ravens had a good chance to beat them, but the refs and those penalties and the way the Chiefs, they were in those guys' heads, and they made them stop playing Raven football. So how do you guys, Paul, how do you look at this game? Do you see it being a lot of screen passes? Do you think it's going to be dink and dunk, or do you think we're going to have a lot of explosive plays? What are you looking at? What would you don't have to give me a score prediction, but a ballpark figure. Do you think it's going to be a shootout, or do you think it's going to be dominated one side?
Well, I'm not allowed to give you a score prediction because we have a competition, and I was sure, as in a point scoring competition, and there's only 2 points, and we've got 1 game in the season left. So unfortunately, I'm sworn to secrecy by the others. You mentioned Pacheco there. I think when you look at this Niners defense, when you see running backs coming through the holes, we miss Hafanga. We miss an explosive safety who might be able to come in and meet. And what's weird, under Ryans and Salah, we've been used to this swarm mentality. As soon as the ball's out, you think flag football, you think Bush League football, ball's out, everyone swarms. This year, I don't know whether it's a deliberate thing with Wilkes. It's kind of you stay in your lane, you do your job, and it's not for me to tackle him. And then before you know it, like you've seen against the Lions, they've done 3rd and long 3 times in a row, and you think, someone just tackle the bloody ball carrier, the ball's out. Mahomes, we can't stack the box. We can't put 8 in there just to stop Pacheco because he'll dissect us. The saving grace we've got is Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. I think they're going to be worth their weight in gold in this. Like you said, screen passes, that middle of the field, top linebackers take that away. The Ravens did that very well last week. The Chiefs didn't put any points up in the second half. It's just the way the Ravens played. They couldn't do enough to come back. I think whichever team establishes the run, it seems boring to say that, but that's the level of football you're at. If Kyle can get an early lead, if he can feed CMC, please run to the left. Please put George Kittle on the same side as Trent Williams and just create that battering ram and let CMC get there. But what we did well last week in the second half, and my friend who's a Lions fan got upset about, if you go back and watch the second half, CMC wasn't doing a lot of explosive plays until the touchdowns, but he was moving the ball 3 or 4 yards, which if you get 3 or 4 yards per carry, and then you let Purdy either get the 3rd down with his legs or with the pass, that then soon opens it up. And football's a momentum game. You put one play after another, like we seen in that 3rd quarter. Why we couldn't have done that from the start, chaps, on both sides of the ball. It was, I'm known for being a positive guy, but I must admit at half-time, I went and made a very English cup of tea. I went and got some biscuits out of the biscuit tin, and I sat down and I texted Lee, and I was like, this is going to be a tough one to come back from, but we can do it. I think Kelsey, he isn't a great route runner, but you said he's got that elusiveness. He's got that connection that Brady and Gronk had, and that's dangerous. They've got that playoff pedigree. Like you said, Brian, he can put the ball up, and before you know it, he's got that. But Chivarius Ward, a lot of inside knowledge. He was at the Chiefs. I think Gibson has been better than some people give credit for. Ambry Thomas has struggled, but I don't think we've got any alternative. I don't think we see Warmack in there. And I just hope our front four start to make Mahomes feel uncomfortable. Doesn't necessarily have to translate to sacks, but just hit him like we did at Goff. Sit him down on the turf or make it difficult for him to set his feet and get that ball. What do you reckon, David? Have I left something out, or have I stolen everything you were going to say?
No. When it comes down to it, honestly, Chiefs pass defense really good. Run defense not so much. That's what our team's built to do. Their team, they have Travis Kelce, Rashid Rice, Pacheco, and when you have Mahomes, you always have a chance. That's the scary part right there. Honestly, I made a score prediction of 24-21 with a heart attack game, but I'm hoping for an absolute blowout. You never know how things are going to go. This game can't start like the other games did, like our other playoff games. We can't do that. Not against these guys. So I'm looking for, Brandon Ayuk to beat Snead, and Snead's one of the better corners in the league. I'm looking for this to happen, for him to prove that he's that number one wide receiver, because when it comes to extensions, he's up. When it comes to our team, I feel there's no team in the league that could beat us when we're playing good football. Look at the last two games. Detroit Lions come in and they're playing their souls out, and we beat them. A lot of people point out Reynolds dropped a pass. What you're not pointing out is that pass wasn't perfectly thrown. So that's not only on Reynolds, that's on Goff too. And it's a game of inches, right? So we got to make those plays. Purdy's got to throw into tight windows against these good defensive backs. We got to stop Chris Jones. We got to there's all kinds of we got us. But basically we need to play our brand of football and not get caught up in the moment and start slinging the ball around 39 times like we did late in the season when we only ran it 18 times. Not 49er football. 49er football is run the ball, dink and dunk down the field. And if that's what we got to do, dink and dunk down the field to win the game, let's do it. Let's eat that clock. Let's keep Mahomes on the pine watching. Let's score some points. And hopefully we're, in a perfect world, we're able to get up 2 scores right off the bat. And, put the pressure on Mahomes, make him start to throw around, at our defensive backs. That didn't we lead the league in interceptions this year?
We did. I'm glad you mentioned that, David.
So let's get him throwing the ball at our defensive backs and, linebackers, and let's see what happens there. Kelce, he's a great player, but, he's starting to age. He's starting to decline, and he did during the season. In the playoffs, he's really stepped it up. But, our players need to not let him do anything to get in their head. Don't be the second guy pushing off, because that's what the ref's going to see. If Kelce's going to do something in the game, let him do something in the game. Just don't retaliate. Don't get that penalty. That's one thing that's killed us over the course of the season, is not wise penalties. Pass interference here and there. Tayshaun Gibson actually really late in the season wasn't playing his best football, but last week he had some big plays. So, our players do adjust. They're doing better every week. They try to fix their mistakes, and this is it. This is the Super Bowl. Not every season you make it here.
No.
So this is the game to win. It doesn't matter what you guys got to do. 1 point, 40 points. Get the W.
Do you think if it goes to a shootout, the Chiefs have got the firepower to come back? Because I don't think they've got the firepower of old. I think if it goes to a shootout, I think that suits us better than it suits the Chiefs. And that's what I meant, David, about Gibson. I'm not saying he's the best. He was great last season, but he has had moments, and that experience tells. And I think that might be telling in the Super Bowl. I think what's great is you've got two battle-tested teams in the playoffs who are coming together. It's going to be a chess match, which is what I love with the NFL. It's going to be great to see what Kyle Shanahan has learned. My score isn't as close as yours. When I do drop it, I'll tag you both in it. But I think Brian would be happy with your score because it might mean a Jake Moody field goal. Now, to be fair, Brian, the knock on the UK fans is we must know everything about kickers. And it does irritate some UK fans. I embrace it because of obviously the English football. And when we did our draft mock show, I called for us to take Moody. And when we did, I clipped that. Now, you went one better than me and you got a Moody jersey, which the cost of jerseys are expensive over here. So you are definitely the president of the Jake Moody fan club. Now, I don't know if you two have seen Jason Aponte isn't a great fan of Jake Moody. And I don't know how it's been done, but before I came on your show tonight, there's a video of Jake Moody actually calling Jason Aponte out. It's absolutely amazing. And if Jake Moody wins this Super Bowl for the 49ers, you definitely deserve your flowers, Brian. And I want to see that jersey of yours all over social media.
Oh my gosh. So I called him Jason Aponte. He's a great guy. I like him a lot. He's been doing his channel for a while, and he's been blowing up with Brad. And I think he'll be at the Super Bowl because I think he's got credentials. He does a lot with the scouting report and all kinds of stuff. And I like the guy. Honestly, there's a lot of things to like about him. I like the 49ers. He likes the 49ers. He likes Batman. I like Batman. I'm a dad. He's a dad. I mean, so I called him one time, and I think it was like his first call-in show he's done. And I called in and I talked to him, and I started telling him, hey, I like kickers. I used to be a kicker. So he gets my jokes sometimes when I go in his chats or something like that, and I'll write kickers matter. And I have given a little bit of a hard time, but he knows it's in fun. And he's not the biggest fan of kickers, and it's okay. Not everybody. You don't have to like every position. And again, if people don't understand the obsession or the reason I like kickers, when I played football, I was a kicker and I was a third string quarterback. So, hey, it is what it is. Not everybody's the fastest, the tallest, or, you got the blonde hair on the team or whatever, but everybody can make the team. Everybody has a place that they work hard. They have the heart. And that's where I was at, when you're in practice and stuff, the coach says run hard. Well, if he sees you running hard, and you're doing what you got to do, there's a good chance you're going to make the team. If you want to jog, you're not going to jog. Oh, hey, real quick. So what's your thoughts on Chase Young? Because I think I heard it. It's not my joke. I heard it, and I think it's really funny. I think depending on his performance in the Super Bowl, his name has got a chance. He can either keep his name Chase Young, but if he doesn't have the best performance, I think we might need to name him Jog Young. The guy's got to get in there. We need Bosa on one side. We need Chase on the other side. They need to reach that quarterback. They need to get there. Bosa had a couple sacks in the game against Detroit, and those were some probably game-changing momentum. There was one where he got Golf, and it almost looked like he was going to have him fumble. Golf was going down, and he got slammed on the ground. So, again, sacks, pressure matters. And I think with Bosa, because of what happened at the last Super Bowl, I think he's wanting a little bit of revenge. And I think if Chase chases instead of jogs, I think we got a good chance. I really do. Guys, we could probably go on forever and ever because I really am having a lot of fun. Paul, we'd love to do this again with you sometime. It's just, I don't know your schedule all the time, but you know how to get a hold of me. We're going to continue to do these things through the off season. Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays are a little bit more of my fun show. Sundays are me and David's show. We stream, we've been actually middle of the season started doing this. we started streaming our analyst show, I guess, if you want, our pregame shows, if you want to call it. And I think when there's no more shows, we're going to try to change it up a little bit. Maybe make that our interview show again, or guest show, because during the season, or before this all got taken and started on this season, we were doing guest shows. We were calling different people. We were getting people who are in the chats and stuff, and maybe encouraging them to show their face a little bit and come out. And it was a lot of fun. And then the season got started and people got a little bit more busy. So when it dials down a little bit, we'll do that again. Love to have you or any of the other UK people on, and vice versa. If you ever need anything, you just send the bat signal up, and I'll be there. And David's got a Camaro, so it's black, I believe. And if you got a black car, it's AKA the Batmobile, right? So I always try to tell everybody first, I'm Batman. He tries to say he's Batman, so you can guess. But David's my buddy, so if you want to come back, more than likely be me and David here. And again, thank you so much for your time, your support, your fanhood, your family. Tell them as well. Thank you, because when you have a good family that supports you, like I like to say, if you got a great man, there's a great lady standing next to him, right? And happy wife, happy life. And I see your social media pictures. You and your family are happy. You guys are doing great. And I'm really, really happy that there is somebody like you on the other side that can help the 49ers and help other fans out there feel good about being a fan.
Thank you. So what David's doing there, he's showing his car. So he has to be Batman if he's got the car. But all jokes aside, Brian, this has been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Big fan of yours. I've resonated with you as a family man. I agree with your moral standpoint. I like your take on football. I watched the show that you do with Aaron, with Ty Alston. So likewise, we've just started our channel, and we had Ty on last week. It's our first ever American guest. So we are going to open the invite, because I want to get you guys. I want to show the UK, the people that I talk about when I do our podcast. I'll name drop these people, and they'll be like, how do you have time to watch all this stuff? And I'm like, I don't do English Premier League. So when everyone's off watching the English Premier League and watching all their shows, I'm sat at home watching game breakdown of Chase Young running after the quarterback, or Brock Purdy and all the rest of it. But thank you both for making this happen. You've helped me out massively, because I am home alone tonight. And my missus was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'll put the bat signal out there. I'll do a podcast. Right. I'll do a show. So I do appreciate you guys having me on. Like you said, we could go on for another hour. I always find when you find people who are easy to talk to, you do a show like this, it's easy. The chat has been great. And honestly, if you're not subscribed to these two guys, you need to. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, feel free. It's very 49ers heavy.
No, please follow Paul if you're not following him. And please check his YouTube channel out. Subscribe. You will not be you will not be disappointed. That's the word I was trying to look for. Because Paul's got a great channel. If you like East Coast Red and Gold, you're going to like the UK. If you like hearing people talk positive about the 49ers, and it's not always positive and cheery. I mean, there's points. People have opinions and they make points. And like you've been here, you guys have heard, there's sometimes we get into a moment and you have to say what you got to say. You got to say your spill. But then there's a point where you don't have to stand under the gray cloud and continue to get poured on, right? There's a moment where you can start looking for the sunshine and moving forward. And, again, not everybody wants to just be down and dirty or down and dreary all the time. So if you do get an opportunity to come around and listen to somebody who brightens your day a little bit, hey, and if I was able to do that and you're able to enjoy a cup of coffee or something, that makes me feel great. Paul, a couple questions. How do we get a UK flag? Okay. Ty Austin's been putting it in our face everywhere. He took it to Dallas. He's taking it everywhere. And you see there's a flag right here. You see David's got a couple flags. And I know a couple other people that would like to know how to get a UK flag. So later I will put in the description, you, of course. So hopefully anybody who's listening to the channel can go and subscribe to the UK. And then also follow you on Twitter and stuff, but can you tell us a little bit about the UK flag? Because I seen Ted's got one. I think Larry Kruger's got one now. So I got to have one in the back cave.
Yeah, we've got to get you one, Brian. So Lee Gowland had the flag made up when he came across to games. I'm like you, Brian. I never thought I'd get to a Niners game. And when I took over the social media, I said to Lee, we need a presence. We need something that kind of gets us our own. So as you've said there, This is the 49er Faithful UK flag. Now, there's a rival group in the UK that has the Niners logo on the Union Jack. I might be controversial. I'm not very British political. I didn't want those colours, and I didn't think the Americans would like those colours. And it's well known the history between the two nations. I love America. I love all things America. The colourway of that flag has just taken a life of its own. You guys have really taken above. So Lee Gowland gets them custom made. So he doesn't make any profit on them. So what happens is he puts an order in, and when we get them, we obviously, the more we order, the cheaper they are. Now, Lee had the master stroke of sending one to Ted, one to Ty, one to Larry Kruger. And you've all been flying them. So when the next order goes in, which when we win number 6, I'm sure plenty more people will want a flag. I will get you guys a flag. You've got my word on that, and I'll have a word with Lee, and then you'll have to fly it, because you're right, Brian. It's been great to see the love for the 49er Faithful UK. And like you said, is that a Mexico
got a
flag?
spot.
See, we'll get
I
you
got
one
a
as well,
spot.
David. You've got a spot. So
He's got-
Lee watches the shows because, like you said, so. But yeah, basically, if you're on Facebook, the best place to be is if you search for 49er Faithful UK. It's a closed group just for 49ers fans. You have to answer a couple of questions, but that's where we tend to do a lot of the ordering. Right, we're going to do a flag order this week. Who wants one? And the more we order, the cheaper they are. But when I was over in San Francisco, Gina presented me
Oh,
with
yes.
this flag.
Mhm.
So, and Ted, I found Ted before we finish on Twitter, and he used to engage in a lot of trash talk with people.
Yeah.
And I found his Twitter very entertaining. And then he invited me on his show, and you talk about meeting people. And I'd already heard your story of your first trip to Levi's. I'd heard it on one of your shows with the car breakdown. But I had a positive experience that Ted ended up sat next to me in the gold mine. And as you can tell, I'm very energetic. I'm very positive. I don't think Ted knew what he'd let himself in for, because I was up and down for every play. I was jumping around, and I had a CMC jersey on that day. And when CMC scored at our end, that was my first ever live American football touchdown at the age of 43. So I was jumping all over Ted. Now, Ted is a lot bigger in person, height-wise, and expect. Now, I'm 5'11". I'm not the smallest guy. I'm not the biggest, but Ted, I was like, blooming heck, he's not a small bloke. And even he was like, okay, you have to stop jumping on me now. But I'll get you both a flag. You've got my word for it. And once the order goes in, I'll look forward to you two flying it on the show.
Ted's great. Yep. We missed out on meeting Ted. I believe he was having the baby at that time. You know, his wife was having the baby, so they have a newborn. And yeah, Ted's great. Ted's a great guy. I love watching his show. Please check him out as well. And guys, stay faithful. Win or lose, Niners will be here. And it's about faith, family. It's about feelings. It's about respect. It's about everything. And you know what? If you're not having fun, then maybe you need to look somewhere else. But the Niners have a good opportunity this year to maybe right some wrongs, or clean out some of those skeletons in the closet. We can't take away the losses, but we can add hardware to our Lombardi shelf and our trophy case. So folks, tune in. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Me and Dave will be going live on both channels. Paul Hope, you're welcome as anytime you want. You let us know. And we'll be talking again here real soon, guys. David, would you like to send us out? Oh, and folks, we'll drop the videos, but David's gonna send us out.
It's always go Niners, and as Corey Davis would say, F all 31 other teams.
That's right, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.